If you have been locked in the past couple of weeks, you already know how quickly these weekend pickups can flip an entire matchup. You had the chance last week to pick up Derek Queen and Tristan Da Silva while they're both under 5% rostered. And now Derek Queen just had his breakout game the second Zion came back into the court. Moves like this are why you want to stay ahead of your league. And this week, we've got even more names you need to have on your radar heading into the weekend. Players who can win you your week 6 matchup if you're early to them, or cost you your matchup if you sleep on them. This is where every decision matters, and this is where the blueprint becomes the difference. Welcome back to The Corner, your #1 destination for everything fantasy basketball related. If you're trying to climb the standings, take over your league, and stay ahead of every single trend, you're in the right place. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell. It's time to lock in. Now let's get into the video. Week 6 in the NBA is going to be a little weird. Most teams basically have a dead week, but that does not mean we cannot still find value in the schedule. Before we even get there though, we need to close out on week 5, and a lot of teams around the league have almost identical weekend slates. Most play just 2 games, which means this blueprint is going to lean heavily into next week's matchups. Last week, I highlighted the Magic, the Pelicans, the Nets, and all 3 of them had fantastic weeks. And this week, I got 2 teams that are set up to dominate both this weekend and also into week 6, plus a few players who can have massive breakout weeks if you're early on them. Now, first, the 2 teams that I want to highlight this week are going to be the Suns and the Raptors, but for very different reasons for both of them. The Suns have quietly become one of the best fantasy teams in the entire NBA. They run deep, their bench is super productive, and multiple players are stepping into meaningful roles. Meanwhile, the Raptors, they're on the opposite end of the spectrum, and they are probably one of the worst teams to have fantasy players play on. Outside of the starting 5, it's been a fantasy minefield all year long so far. Some nights you get a random player who may drop 35 points, and on the next night they're back to dropping less than 6. But even with that inconsistency, there's still value to be found on this roster, especially heading into a weird schedule this week. Let's start off with Phoenix because this is exactly where your immediate weekend value comes from. There are going to be 5 players on this roster that I'm targeting depending on your league type and how deep you are in that league. First up, we have Dillon Brooks. This is going to be a shallow league play. In deep leagues, Dillon Brooks should already be gone, but just in case he's not, go pick him up. Brooks has been playing lights out for Phoenix, and the confidence is there. The usage is 100% solid, and he's giving you scoring with good efficiency. This weekend, he's one of the safest streamers on the board. Now, let's talk about the deep league ads that I am looking for myself, because Phoenix has 4 really interesting names that are all under 20% rostered right now, according to ESPN. And those 4 names are Royce O'Neal, Colin Gillespie, Ryan Dunn, and Jordan Goodwin. My top Sun to add this weekend is going to be Colin Gillespie. As long as Grayson Allen remains out without a firm timetable for his return, Colin is stepping into a big opportunity. He is going to be aggressive, he's involved in the offense, and he's getting real minutes when Allen is not on the court. But this one comes with a lot of risk and a warning. If Grayson Allen does return earlier than expected from the quad injury, do not pick up Colin. His minutes will essentially disappear overnight, but if Allen is out, Colin has the potential to be a fantastic pickup for these weekend games. Next up, we have Jordan Goodwin, and he has been one of the most underrated depth pieces on the Suns roster this year. Over his last 5 games, he's been consistently productive, and unlike Colin, Goodwin's value isn't tied to Allen's status as much. With Jalen Green still on the sideline, the Suns have been deploying Goodwin more and more, and I expect that to continue throughout this weekend. Ryan Dunn has been one of the most consistent safe floor players on this roster. He has the occasional dud. Every role player does. That's not anything new. But overall, he's been extremely steady for the Suns. After a down week, I think he's due for a bounce back weekend where he returns back to that reliable 20 to 30 fantasy points a night. Last up on this list, we have Royce O'Neal, and he started off the season extremely hot, but then he cooled off in the last couple of games. But that feels like it's more of a matchup issue with the Suns more than an actual performance dip. His minutes are still good, his usage is still usable, and he's one of those smart role players on the team. If you're in a deeper format, you can absolutely do worse. I think Royce O'Neal is a must roster player as well. Now let's move on to the Raptors next, and this section is going to be quick because there's not many players to talk about at all when it comes to the Raptors. Toronto has been one of the worst fantasy teams all season long. Outside of their main starters who have been doing really well, this roster has been a total coin flip. One night somebody can drop an insane amount of points, and the next day they're struggling to even get on the court. It has been rough for the role players on this team. But despite all that noise, the Raptors actually have one of the best schedules of the entire NBA this week. And because of that, there's one player I want to highlight, and that is going to be Sandro. Sandro has quietly been hovering around 20 fantasy points per night range all season long. And while that's not a game changer on its own, it can be extremely useful when you're looking for a safe streamer with volume during a good schedule stretch. Now, I want to be clear, this is a very, very risky pickup. This is not a long-term hold. This is not someone you build your week around. But if you need a Sunday streamer, you need someone to help you squeeze out a comeback win or just to secure your league, I think Sandro is one of those good players for that option. So now that we're done talking about those two teams, we're going to start talking about our weekend warriors, the players who I believe are going to explode over the next couple of days and carry the momentum into week 6. And the first name on this list is going to be no surprise. If you've been locked in on the channel, you know I was high about this player before, but now I'm ultra high about him, and that is going to be Derek Queen. If you still haven't added Queen yet, this is going to be your last chance for the rest of the year. I told you last week that Queen paired with Zion was going to be a problem for the league, and that's exactly what we've seen on Wednesday night. When the Pelicans played the Nuggets, Queen made Denver's defense look lost. He frustrated Jokic the entire night, he forced bad rotations, and honestly handed Jokic one of the worst games he's had all season long, and that's a big statement. This is exactly why Queen is a 100% must roster player in every single fantasy format. He is a stat sheet stuffer. He's active on both ends of the floor, and you can feel his impact immediately when he's on the floor. The Pelicans look alive again. They look like they're starting to have fun, and the ball is moving, and Queen is a massive part of that shift. Now, let's talk about the schedule. The Pelicans play the Mavs and the Hawks this weekend, and with Zion coming off of a hamstring injury, he's 100% not going to play one of those games. So yes, the Pelicans will more than likely lose both of these games going into week 6. But for fantasy, Queen's opportunity, usage, and upside are sky high. If you don't add him right now, you're going to regret it. Queen is legitimately shaping up to be one of those late season pickups that wins you your entire league. Grab him before somebody else in your league gets smart. Next up on this list, we have Drew Eubanks, and he suddenly has the opportunity to be a massive problem when it comes to fantasy basketball. As I was literally planning and recording this video, the news dropped that Domantas Sabonis is going to miss the next month thanks to a torn left meniscus, and that changes everything in Sacramento. Now, the sample size of Drew Eubanks being the starter is very, very small, but in those minutes where he has played without Sabonis, he's averaging around 25 fantasy points per game, which again, I understand it's not week shattering, it's just that little bit of difference that could help you win those matchups. Anytime you can get your hands on a starting center, especially this late in the fantasy season, you take the chance you have every single time if you do need a center. Eubanks is going to be walking into very consistent minutes, more screens, more rebounding opportunities, and more involvement in the offense moving forward. If you're struggling at center, or you just need stability at that position, this is absolutely a move that you should consider making. And the last player that I want to talk about today is going to be Max Christie from the Dallas Mavericks. And honestly, Max Christie may be one of the sneakiest pickups that you can make right now. He's looked good all season long, but this week everything changed. The Mavericks just announced today, as I'm recording this again, that Dante Exum is not coming back this year, which now means that Max Christie has zero competition when it comes to that shooting guard spot moving forward. Now, in this 4th year, Christie keeps improving every single season after season, and Dallas desperately needs scoring from anywhere that they can get it. Since November 7th, Max Christie is averaging 30 fantasy points per game if you remove the one game that was a complete outlier against the Knicks. This is legit fantasy production. This is not a one-off or maybe a fluky type player. He has gone under the radar in majority of leagues, and I do think this is a must-grab player right now. In deeper formats, he is a great pickup. And honestly, after looking at all the stats and the details, you can make the argument that Max Christie may be a must roster player moving forward, or at least in the short term. Just be warned, the Mavericks have a really strange schedule this week and next week. Everything is pushed towards the back half of the week. That's mostly because of Thanksgiving, so you'll need to plan around that. But as pure talent and opportunity play, I think that Max Christie deserves that you take a long look at him and maybe add him to your team. So that is going to be my full list of teams and players that I'm targeting this weekend, plus a few names who are right on the edge of a new breakout. If you want to stay ahead of your entire league, do not click off this video just yet. Watch the video that's on your screen right now, where I break down 5 players who are going to be league winners by the end of the year and why you need to roster them right now. That's all for me today. Thanks for stopping by the corner. Peace.